So when we last left off in our little chat, as it were, I was talking about a new bill that was being introduced by California Democrat Congresswoman Jackie Speier to try to address the grievous situations they had that actually facilitated rapists in the higher ranks and made it easier for them to just basically enabled them to continue to rape and get away with it, and that's not right. That's disgusting. But let me move along to the Army, from a June 22nd, 2012 article. The Armed Forces Response to Rape Makes Military Justice an Oxymoron. 34 women and men appear on camera in the documentary Invisible War, which opens in theaters June 22nd. Obviously that's old, so don't mind that. To discuss being raped in the military. Statistics flash on screen. 20% of women are sexually assaulted while serving in the United States military. An estimated 500,000 women have been sexually assaulted in the last 20 years. In fiscal year 2009, 3,230 women reported sexual assaults, and the Department of Defense estimates that 80% of women never report, meaning that their own numbers indicate that 16,150 women are sexually assaulted that year. An estimated 1% of male service members are sexually assaulted in the military each year, or around 20,000 men. Do you get this now? This is not simply just a women's issue. This isn't simply just a military issue. This is a men's issue as well, and one that definitely needs looking into, because and in 2010, only 175 rapists did time. Honestly, I think that we could do way, way better. Especially when, again, as talked about in link, in link number 7 here, and then there's the PTSD. Women who are sexually assaulted in the military have higher PSD rates than men who served in combat. Multiple survivors who appear in the film detail their struggles with PTSD and their subsequent suicide attempts. Does that sound acceptable to any of you out there? Does that sound like what a civilized, industrialized nation is willing to support, is willing to allow? Is this what our military men and women deserve? To be raped? To be told, well, it's an occupational hazard. Even though, frankly, they know who's going in, who could likely or is more likely to actually commit rapes in these close-quarter situations. And as stated for the umpteenth time, this isn't one of these things where it's because it's happening in the military, it stays in the military. These people go into the private sector, and they probably seem like very trustworthy individuals. And we leave them alone with people thinking nothing bad will happen if anybody tries to go after my son, my daughter, my wife, my husband, my brother, that this nice army gentleman will protect this person so I can feel safe leaving them alone together. And then when years later you find out that on leave, this sick individual was raping your son, daughter, sister, whomever, all these years. And the fact that they had military training and could overpower these people only made it that much easier for these individuals to operate and to keep things covered up on their end. How good would you feel knowing that you allowed that to happen, when this could have easily been taken care of, when individuals who are carrying out these despicable acts against servicemen and women and then against civilians could be behind bars or getting rehabilitated or getting meaningful treatment programs. But no, we want to leave it in the hands of the Army? Gee, how well has that worked out for us? Just saying. Because then, from this CNN article on military, April 14th, 2012, military rape thing, rape victims say military labels them crazy. Just imagine for a scant second, you are a perfectly sane, able-bodied, great self-esteem individual. You get raped, you report it, and instead of justice, you're met with, you're crazy. How do you think that would make you feel? How do you think you would feel in that situation? Oh, that would just make it all the easier for you to just get over it, right? Because that's what people do. They just get over their rapes, right? There's nothing invasive about it. There's nothing deeply emotionally scarring about that experience. No, rape is just a fun party, right? Stephanie Schroeder joined the U.S. Marine Corps not long after 9/11. She was 21 years old with an associate's degree, and she reported for boot camp at Parris Island, South Carolina. I felt like it was the right thing to do, Schroeder recalls. A year and a half later, the Marines diagnosed her with a personality disorder and deemed her psychologically unfit for the Corps. Anna Moore enlisted in the Army after 9/11 and planned to make a career of it. Moore was a Patriot missile battery operator in Germany when she was diagnosed with a personality disorder and dismissed from the Army. Jenny McClendon was serving as a sonar operator for the Navy destroyer. She received personality disorder diagnoses. These women joined different branches of the military and share a common experience. Each received the psychiatric diagnosis and military discharge after reporting sexual assault. I'm not crazy, says Schroeder, who is married now with 2 daughters. I'm actually relatively normal. McClendon, sorry if I get your names wrong, I mean no disrespect, says she had a similar reaction. I remember thinking, this is absurd. This is ridiculous. How could I be emotionally unstable? I'm very clear of mind, especially considering what happened. McClendon says, it was a ludicrous diagnosis. A similar pattern. CNN has interviewed women in all branches of the armed forces, including the Coast Guard, who tell stories that follow a similar pattern. A sexual assault, a command dismissive of the allegations, and a psychiatric discharge. Schroeder says a fellow Marine followed her to the bathroom in April 2002. She says he then punched her, ripped off her pants and raped her. When she reported what happened, a non-commissioned officer dismissed the allegations, saying, "Don't come bitching to me because you had sex and changed your mind," Schroeder recalls. Yeah, because that's what you want to say to a rape victim. Now again, that's not to say that false rape accusations don't happen. They happen in the private sector, they happen in the military sector, and they absolutely have to be intelligently addressed. But to throw the baby out with the bathwater to try to paint everybody the same way, especially if, and I suspect most of these ladies, upon getting a second evaluation, were found to be quite sane, but the military was just like, I'm not hearing you, la 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 la, no, you're crazy, what happened to you didn't happen, and we're not going to do anything about it. In fact, we're probably going to promote the person who did that despicable act against you because we don't really care. At least that's the way that you're coming out, military. That's the way that you seem to be more than happy to portray yourself. You don't realize that when you do these things to these victims, these things have a way of getting out. Now, might some of these ladies actually have this disorder? Sure, but they still could be assaulted, and legitimately so. Not that I even want to try to get into what could be constituted as legitimate rape and not. But no, I'm not comfortable with this. That there's a pattern, that we have a trail of people who all had the same exact experience and were basically dismissed and told that nothing was going to come of their experiences. And that's military justice for you, right? Look, again, I'm not anti-military. I'm really not, you know. I have people who have served in at least 2 different wars, if not even further back from that. I think it can be very valiant. I don't agree with the war, but that doesn't mean I'm going to punish the troops because I don't agree with our occupation of a place that we shouldn't be in the first place. That's neither here nor there. Some of you out there, I've had military personnel come at me. How does this make you look good? How does this make you look okay, especially when you're more than willing to try to just throw out any kind of justification you can find without any proof or evidence, at least at the very least here? I have links. I have things that you can tear apart here. You have opinion most of the time that I've had to deal with this topic. I'm not saying that you guys are all completely wrong. I'm not saying that all these women are 100% right, but they're still disparaging numbers, objective numbers, not subjective numbers, objective numbers, numbers that have no bias, numbers that exist, that are concrete, that we can prove. And they're proving that you're not giving these women, when it is a case of actual rape, the justice that they deserve. No, you're giving their rapist practically a pat on the back and a nice fat promotion where he can go on and keep on doing what he's been doing to these other women. And you want to come at me and say that I'm somehow being disrespectful to the military or to the troops in bringing this to light? Are you joking? If anything, I'm here to help all of you guys, men and women, as well as to try to help out the private sector so that we're not having military rapists out there in the public sector raping private citizens. This really isn't that hard to figure out.